long video is going to be about. Does urinating on a jellyfish sting serve absolutely any purpose at all? However, I do recognize that this English is quite boring, and I'm supposed to make this inclusive and fun, so I am going to rewrite this as if I was Shakespeare. Now let me just... Come here. Sorry, excuse me. Mom! Voila! If I was Shakespeare. To pee or not to pee? Now let's go look at a scenario.
Is stung by a jellyfish. Everyone, meet Jeffrey Ford. He will be the protagonist in our quick demonstration today. Jeffrey here really likes the beach and decided that on this day in particular, he would try his luck at swimming in the ocean. Little does Jeffrey know that that part of the ocean was full of cauliflower jellyfish. Oh no, Jeffrey, you've been stung. Whatever can we do to help you? Oh, thank heavens! It seems a bystander has come to help. But whatever can she do to help you? What? Pee on it? That can't be accurate, can it? Let's find out so that we can treat Jeffrey safely and effectively.
Situation analysis. Jeffrey Ford. Jeffrey Ford has been stung by a cauliflower jellyfish and is in tremendous pain. A bystander wants to know if she can relieve him of some of that pain by using her urine. Now, to pee or not to pee, we kind of have to break this question down into two parts. One, the tentacles and all the stingers that are involved in the area that he was stung, and of course, her urine. Now, before we get into that, if you've never had the pleasure of being stung by a jellyfish, I would like to use this video to showcase what your reaction may be like.
Ouch! Oh heavens! Oh goodness gracious! That smarts! Oh my! Egad! Well, I'll be! Yikes!
Peter, when did you become so polite?
Thank you, Peter Griffin. Now, based on that video, you must be thinking that these barbs are ginormous. And to the answer to that, I gotta say no. They're actually, you can't even see them with the naked eye. Sometimes people can't even tell they've been stung by a jellyfish because there's no visible signs. You just feel the pain. So what happens is that these barbs that come off the jellyfish tentacles attach to the first layer of your skin, the beautiful epidermis. Now, for it to penetrate your epidermis, you wouldn't cause a painful enough stimuli for you to be frantic. So what first happens is the barbs enter and they release a poison known as nemesis. Probably not the correct pronunciation, but that's what Google told me. Now, as that poison enters your bloodstream, it hits your sensory receptors. Your sensory receptors go, hey, there's pain here. And in this sense, it's going to shoot up his leg right to his spine, and his first reaction is going to be the reflex arc, which is to flail and try to get it off immediately, try to get away from the pain. Well, when that happens, and if anyone knows how a barb works, it just continues to go deeper into the skin. At this point, it's probably in your dermis. It is extremely painful, so painful in fact, that your nervous system goes into sympathetic. Your heart rate's going to increase, your lungs are going to take in more air faster, your pupils are going to dilate, and it may create a little bit of waste as you panic essentially. However, this period of time will only last about 5 to 6 seconds when you realize the pain isn't going away. Now, by this time, now that you've entered that state, the barb is probably even deeper into your skin. It's probably in your hypodermis, which is very hard to dig out in this sense. So when you come back to your senses and realize you need help, you'll go back to shore and they will treat you. Now, the two ways to treat this that are recommended by a doctor, which I'll put in, are to use vinegar and of course salt water to deactivate the poison that is released by the barbs and allow you to safely remove the barbs without adding any more poison to your bloodstream. It is still a painful process, and that area will still be processed for a long period of time because the poison is still being filtered through your system. However, you can touch it and you won't make it worse. So that's the first part. Now let's head to the second part of the question. Ah yes, the second part of this question, which I also definitely remember. We might need a little help on this one.
So, any words for the bride and groom?
Not now, Bart. I'm trying to urinate.
You don't seem to be trying very hard.
Yes, the excretory system, the most fun and interesting system that you will ever learn about, said nobody ever. But alas, for the sake of Jeffrey's leg, we must break it down. Now, before I get up out of this very comfy chair to draw you an excretory system, I want to talk about what we're trying to see when I draw it out. And to do that, we have to talk about what a normal solution to a jellyfish sting would be, which in this case would be vinegar. So vinegar, we know its pH is mildly acidic, and I don't know if I mentioned this when I was talking about a jellyfish sting, but its poison, the solution, is very basic. It actually has a rating of 8.5 and up on the pH scale. So why does vinegar work in most senses? Well, we gotta go back to biochem, the worst unit ever, and we have to look at our reactions. So when we have a basic solution meets an extremely acidic solution, and they meet, we have a byproduct of salt and water, which indicates a neutralization reaction, and its byproducts have no harm to the body, which is why vinegar is usually a solution for a jellyfish sting. Okay, now let's get up. Meet my Formula One racetrack, or for the purpose of this video, a nephron. This is a summarized version of a nephron. I've combined things that have a lot in common for the purpose of keeping this video within the time restraint. So, let's start off in our Bowman's capsule in the glomerulus. The first function, of course, is we're going to filter out the smaller molecules from the large molecules that are in the blood plasma. Once that is done, we are going to go all the way up to our proximal tubule. And it is responsible for taking out things that the body needs to keep homeostasis. So it may reabsorb some hydrogen, it may absorb some water, some salts, yada yada, nutrients that the body needs to maintain itself. After we're done this, we're going to go all the way down to the loop of Henle, where we're going to reabsorb some more water and some more salt to maintain homeostasis. We're going to go up again to our distal tubule, and based off my research outside of the class, it's not often used as much. So, like a video I saw, it summarized its function to just reabsorbing any water, just in case a person gets dehydrated while the urine is in production. But after that, that's really it. Then it moves to our collecting duct, where it and many other nephrons collect in one area to produce urea. Now, in this case, I did not draw it, but sometimes hydrogen is reabsorbed back into the urea as it is a waste product. So this would make the urine or urea full of hydrogen. And let's discuss what that means. All right, now that we're done looking at that horrendous art piece that I drew, let's make or break our myth. Let's place urine on a pH scale. Now, unfortunately, I was hoping this would go a different way, but the pH of urine ranges from a 6.5 to an 8.5 of a healthy person. Let's just start with that. Now, if I had to put the pH of a jellyfish's poison, it starts at an 11 and it goes all the way up to 14, depending on how deadly the poison is. Now, why was this myth ever invented, and was it ever actually correct? Or have we evolved some way that we just doesn't work anymore? And it's actually the opposite. Our pH of pee can actually become more acidic with certain diseases. And one in particular is diabetes. Because a diabetic cannot break down glucose properly. So their body works so hard to break down the glucose that it produces like 3 to 4 times the waste that a normal person would produce. And when there's a lot more waste, the kidneys have to work a lot harder. And especially in diabetics, in that proximal tube that I drew, hydrogen will actually be reabsorbed into the urea just to get rid of it because there's so much of it. And the more hydrogen that we throw into our urine, the more acidic it becomes. So in a diabetic, it can go all the way down to a 4.5, but I'll do a 4 for the case of it looking nice. So in this case, hypothetically, I'm not saying go and pee on someone at the beach if you're a diabetic, but hypothetically, if a person is stung with one of the less severe cases of a jellyfish sting, and they do have a high acidity of urine, technically and hypothetically, I'm not a scientist, it could work. But let's go back to the case. Let's go and tell our bystander what our findings.
Okay, now that we know what we know, what should our bystander and Jeffrey do in this situation now? Jeffrey seems to have a bright idea. And she's gone. Okay, let's rewind. Let's do this seriously. Oh, that's probably for the best in this situation. Oh, there they go. The end.